Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Shane Williams with The Stand, along with Lance Dobbs. George Porter's out for a while, under the weather. But he'll be back hopefully next week, ready to go. So in this last week, like always, it's just a phenomenal amount of news that's happening.
But we can only cover so much, so.
Right, exactly. I think I was directed toward me, but that's cool. But anyways, it's just a lot of news. It's even to the point where Sean Hannity is even saying, every week it just seems like it's just this one that has to top from last week. It's like every week just tops. Yeah, exactly. So just the insane what's happening. You got the North Korea situation. You have the Fresno situation that we're going to be breaking down later on. You have, new bases popping up all over from Russia. And then we're also going to be covering a couple of miscellaneous things that, appear to be small but have a bigger effect, the whole ripple in the pond. But before we start, when I talk to people and I start to explain to them, what's happening around the world, or, like we've been harping for the last couple of weeks, the whole financial situation, the housing, the retail stores that are shutting down, basically the financial collapse, and then, you and I were looking over a couple articles from Zero Hedge, and, the graphs that they have where the actual numbers of the stock market, where what they show and what they're at. You start breaking this down to people, and they truly are just flabbergasted that this is happening. And it's like, a lot of people know more about their stats on their video games or their favorite football team rather than what's happening in the world. I like, not to pick on Lance or anything, but he's a big sports guy. But at the same time, he's aware of what's going on in the world, ladies and gentlemen. And none of us are perfect. I play a video game once in a while. I'm not addicted to it. I got other things going on in my life. But it's not the end all be all. Where people don't even want to live in reality; they rather live outside of it. So it's just very frustrating. You try to explain not only to friends but to family members what the hell's going on in the world, and what's going to happen, directly to them, and financially. Like I was explaining to a couple of my family members about the housing market, not to buy, and they go buy a house anyways. But to each his own. But it's just very frustrating when you have all this knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. You just try to help people along the way, and they don't heed your warning until it's too late, and so that's what we're trying to do here.
It'll happen, and then they will see.
Right.
And then that's when the conspiracy theorists are proven right, and they're not conspiracy theorists.
Exactly. It's just very frustrating, folks. I just want to get that off my chest in the beginning, a few moments of the show. Lance, you have anything to caveat off that?
Just what we're going to talk about today, or?
No, just how people ignore the information that we put out.
Well, people are always going to ignore things.
Right.
It's just once you are proven right so many times, you'll get more and more people believing you every week. So.
Yeah, but it's just
it's a slow growth.
It's slow growth, but that's why we really need your support. We're sitting here. We've been doing this for a year now. You can look at our old videos on YouTube and Facebook, and they'll also be up on our website, standshow.com, and just the undocumented, just the unprecedented documents that we have. Our reports are on point, man. From the first day we started this thing, we were talking about the NSA.
Well, the very first episode was what did we talk about? The Zika.
Zika, right.
And where has that gone? That is not in the news anymore.
Right, exactly.
It was only brought up in the news because the Olympics were going to be in Brazil, and that's where the Zika virus was. But otherwise, it really didn't do anything.
But the whole Zika thing, I think it got squashed because what you just said. it proved this point. Now there's a couple of 100 cases in California that recently just popped off, and there were, after that, they showed up in Florida. But it was a thing from the Rockefeller Center. But I'm not going into it. Just watch the video, folks. We break it all down last year. So go ahead, Lance. We'll be breaking into North Korean stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start off with the North Korea, and then we'll roll that into Russia, a little bit about what Russia's been doing recently, and then the next thing would be the Fresno Shooter, and then just a couple other little articles about just rights infringement. Right. So North Korea.
So yeah. I gave my breakdown analysis the other day when I posted a video on Facebook, Minutes to Midnight. It pretty much, a quick breakdown of what happened, what's going on, the timeline and everything. So if you want to watch my breakdown analysis, it's on there. But I didn't hear from you, Lance. So go ahead with your breakdown analysis of what happened pretty much from the timeline of Syria to where we're at now.
You want the timeline from Syria to now?
Right, exactly. Do you think it was a false flag? Do you think it was a setup? And then how does that roll into Korea?
Well, like I said, we talked about it last week before you did your Minutes to Midnight thing. I didn't think it was a false flag. I think it was just when Assad, he just got angry and was probably frustrated. And that's why he used the chemical weapons.
Right.
And then the retaliation was the Tomahawk missiles to it. But nothing came of it. So, I mean, they switched over to using conventional chemical weapons that aren't against the Geneva Convention. That was just kind of a moot point. Yeah, we bombed an airstrip.
Right, exactly. Which we didn't. It was a superficial attack. Didn't really do anything except for take out some broken down aircraft and some bunkers. But
that was housing the chemicals. So.
Yeah, right. But moving on to Korea now, do you think that was a message to Korea and China at the same time, saying that we're not going to take no more, or do you think they wanted to send a message anyways, just for further anything? And I like I said, I think this is more of a message to North Korea and China as well, especially when we dropped the 21,000 pounds bomb. Right, exactly, on ISIS. That was that I think that was a direct effect. We're not messing around no more.
So if when we start making money, we'll get some. He wanted like $3 or whatever every time he talks about the Moab this week.
Put a thing out there. That's pretty cool. I like that. We could possibly start that. But yeah. Because 21,000 pounds of freedom, man, it doesn't come any better way than that,
Explosions.
Right, exactly. So those who haven't seen the video, it's out there. I strongly recommend you watch it. It just makes you feel that warm and fuzzy inside. I know, for me at least. It's just because I was over there, and yeah, so it was very very nice. And
what was the question? Do you think they used chem weapons to test Trump? Yeah, of course. And it was a test to see what would anyone do. The UN, of course, didn't do anything. No other country even batted an eye at it.
Right.
And Trump was like, okay, I'll do something then. Click.
Yeah, he's like, well, I see babies getting hurt, so, he took out the people who supposedly did this. Now, I guess I do believe it was a test for Trump to see what he would do, and, he passed, because then you have Nancy Pelosi, you have McCain, you have everybody else on that side saying, oh, what a great thing he did, So that's what sort of leads me to believe that, possibly this might have been false flaggish, I'm not saying that the actual attack might have been false flag, like the chemicals were real and everything, but the execution of the whole thing just seemed a little off. It didn't seem, 100%.
Just to see what would anyone do if they use chemical weapons. So
exactly. So, but yeah, to North Korea now. When I shot that video, midnight, the hours I think it was before their actual new day or Sunday or
Day of the Sun,
whatever. Anyways, I think it was a couple hours before, everybody was impending of a nuclear disaster. Even I was like, man, are we really going to enter a war because of what Kim Jong-un said, that he was going to test a nuke, and then Trump's response was then we're going to, basically, try to take out the missile and possibly the facilities.
And then probably start nuking them or missiles.
Right, exactly. And, my whole thing about that was, it's not the people's fault of North Korea. These people are very much brainwashed or enslaved. And so the people of North Korea, they want good, not only to them, but to their families, and they just happen to be under a real turd,
Dictator.
just a real horrible person, a real sad sack of what. So it's just really frustrating to see those people under that dictatorship. But it just, all they really have to do is just send in SEAL Team 6 or whatever, assassinate him like they supposedly did to Osama bin Laden. Sorry.
Obama.
Yeah, my bad. To Osama bin Laden, but that's what kind of execution I think needs to happen there in North Korea. I'm not calling for it, but just a thought. I think would ultimately resolve
that.
Everything.
Trump said there was two ways of doing it.
Right.
That was one of them.
Exactly. And then you have Mike Pence, our vice president, heading over there. Hours after the whole deal, or hours before, I believe, saying that the time for a peaceful. I'm trying to quote what he said, but pretty much the time for a peaceful standoff. I don't quote me, but the peaceful standoff is over, and now it's pretty much the time for action. Anyway, we can resolve it. So
the other countries around them are already prepping for the war.
Right, exactly. You have Japan and South Korea.
Japan sent over a fleet of their ships to join our fleet that is over by North Korea right now, or is it still traveling there? Trump just assigned 2 more aircraft carriers to go over there, so
right.
Now we'll have a total of 3 aircraft carriers. There's U-boats all under the water of all these ships. China and Russia just a few days ago just sent some ships just to go follow the fleet. And then China also canceled all of their flights to North Korea so no one could fly there. And then Kim Jong-un, he said if any American comes there, he's just going to hold you hostage. And so he had that missile test the other day. It
right.
failed on the platform.
They're saying because it was
they said it was a
hacked,
cyber hack.
right? What do you think? Do you think that's true, or?
I just think their missiles are not great.
That could be.
Yeah, they blow up sometimes.
Yeah, it's
just look at NASA and our rockets are sending them to space. They blow up on the platform.
Yeah, it's true.
Sometimes. But with all of that, Kim Jong-un came out just yesterday and was like he's going to test a missile every week, and then it's just all talk right now. And then Trump's like, we're just going to start shooting them off your platforms then.
So you think this is more than saber rattling at this point?
It's more just talk, but we'll probably still blow up their stuff.
Oh, okay. So, so let me ask you this then. Do you think that if they were able to launch, these missiles or whatever, do you think North Korea will possibly seek another means to
They're not going to get too far because
attack, maybe South Korea or Japan?
They'll probably try to shoot with South Korea.
They'll probably, yeah. That's what I'm thinking too. What about the artillery, Do you think that could possibly be a huge thing? You start knocking off our missiles, we're going to start artillery barraging
you from our battleships and the carriers.
So either way, it sounds like a suicide mission North Korea's on. Well,
yeah, it does.
Pretty much,
Yeah, Kim Jong-un, he's crazy.
So this is it. You think this is final I mean, they've been building their arsenal for what 64 years, untouched, you know, for a while now. Nobody really ever challenged them.
But they never got to build an ICBM.
Right, exactly. Well, it took them 64 years, and with the help of Bill Clinton.
And an ICBM is an intercontinental ballistic missile.
I know it just does a lot of damage. I don't know what it all stood for, but yeah.
The ICBM, that's what they use to shoot over oceans. They just... So, they're not allowed leaders to expect in the 70s. Alright, so... but yeah, so for... what George, he's actually on the website with us, so he's commenting with us. But his thing was, he just said President Carter outlawed pretty much leader assassinations back in the 70s.
Yeah, but I mean...
That was the 70s.
Exactly. I mean, it could possibly still go on. There's other means than just a straight out, you know, shooting somebody. It could be possibly they contract a virus or a heart attack, or you know, like they try to do in Cuba back in the 60s when they try to take out Castro.
Yeah, it's like how my dad said it. It's like once you start assassinating leaders, then everybody just starts assassinating leaders.
Yeah, and so it's just mass chaos from there, right?
Because once you start cutting off the heads of everybody, I mean, just there goes an anarchy.
Pretty much, man. It's just crazy. So, I mean, what do you foresee then, Lance, in the next maybe a week or so?
I'd give it a month.
Good month before. So, right now you're saying that North Korea's possibly died down and sort of backed off?
Until their next missile launch, yes.
Wow. So you give them about a week, per se? About around
a week before he started, yeah. I'd say about, when did he fire off his last one? It was like 3 days ago or something. Yeah. I'd give it about another 4 or 5 days before he tries it again.
It's just insane. I'm probably going to give it a lot less, just because, for argument's sake, it's just, like I said, I really think this guy's on a suicide mission. The poor people of North Korea is just, you know, stuck there with him, forced to, you know, attend this celebration that they had. And I forgot what news source I was listening to, but they were even saying that when Russia would have these demonstrations of their missiles and stuff, that they were just shells and nothing was inside of it. So.
Not the explosive in it.
Right, exactly. So
they just wanted to see how far it could get. And that's what the testing is for. It's not a live missile or rocket, but North Korea is actually testing live rockets and missiles because they want to put their payload in it, which is all the explosive.
It's just crazy.
They're trying to test with the real thing. So George just said Kim Jong-un is keeping his people in a war footing in order to keep control and keep his people mad at the West.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a typical brainwashing from a wonderful communist dictatorship, you know, then, you know, kills his people and, you know, just starves them to death, and, you know, you name it, he probably does it to him. So, wonderful, loving guy, probably, you know, doesn't love America. That's cool. But anyways,
well, he wants to destroy America.
Yeah,
I mean, he says that all the time.
So. But like I said, it's cool. You know, you can go on with your garbage. You know, but you know, it's just your time's up. You know.
Yeah. I don't really think any American out there really cares about North Korea's leader at this point.
No, the leader, no. But hopefully, you know, people realize that the people are, like I've been saying, enslaved. So let's switch gears. But before that, you know, folks, we do appreciate your support. We've been seeing a lot more likes to the show. I think we're up to 135 likes now. Awesome stuff. We just need a little bit more shares to get the information out there. And of course, visit our website, stanshow.com, where you can purchase shirts, and just let us know, how we're doing. You know, if there's something that you want to see more shirt designs, let us know. You know, because we really do need your feedback. I'm working on a couple of designs for more shirts, along with some other projects I got going on. But nonetheless, like I've been saying, support us. That's the only way you can help fund us and help grow this little operation that we have into maybe something a little bit larger later on. So, and you would be the first ones to help us out. You know, we don't have the financial means right now, but we do want to give back. So.
To end the North Korea part of this segment. The only way to really deal with them is to kill the leader and probably wipe out their military,
right,
and have their government just restart. I mean, it's what we did in the Middle East,
right,
all over the place.
Right, but not to get into regime change. That's a whole other thing. I would like to break that down when George is actually here in studio. So yeah, we'll talk about North Korea regime change, I think, next week. That's a big topic in itself. So
well, it'll probably be happening soon. So.
But it might have happened by next week. You never know. So yeah, just really crazy stuff going on. Like I tell everybody, just get prepared because you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
And so these leaders, they always try to push buttons whenever there's a new president. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about a little bit about what Putin and Vladimir has done. So just today he released information about his new Arctic base.
He did a whole virtual tour, man.
Yeah.
With the BBC. With the BBC, I'm sorry. I was going to go to something else, but yeah. So it's just a base. They want to say is for to mine and to.
Well, they say there's trillions of dollars worth of resources underneath the ice or the permafrost that is up in Siberia.
Well, that's true. I mean, there are programs on what is it, Bering Sea Gold, where they're underneath the ocean sucking up gold. So I don't doubt it that there is minerals, of course, and gold, obviously. But what do you think the real operation of that base is for? I mean, getting so close
it's
to
a more forward center to America.
Exactly. That's what I was trying to get at. Perfect lens. And that's what we're trying to get at. That this base is probably obviously more than just a mining facility to look for minerals and stuff.
Base.
Right, exactly. So it does have a military operation to it as well. And the tour that they probably did show only showed a fraction of what actually is in there. So the base is going to be right off, I don't even know how to pronounce any of this stuff. Right off the Bering Sea in Russia. Basically, it's like right in the middle of Russia in the northern end. So.
But yeah,
And it's not the first base that they had, folks. They have bases down in South America, Central America, down in Africa even. So, and then just a little scattered throughout the old Soviet Union as well. But nothing in comparison to what NATO and the UN have going right at them. So
yeah, another thing that Russia did today was they did their usual bomber run, and they sent them 100 miles within the Alaska coast this time before they were intercepted. So it's the first time he's tried to just see what Trump does in retaliation to sending bombers close to our borders, basically. So
just an outreach. I think this is another way of saying, hey, we're here, don't mess with us. And I honestly, I think Trump really needs to reach out to Putin and just have a one-on-one sit down with him, because.
But he's working with him already. What all these people think.
Yeah, that's right. But I think that would really change the narrative, because obviously we saw the strike on Syria and everybody sort of shut up about that whole thing.
Because he bombed some of their planes.
Right, exactly. So I think now would be a good time to actually sit down with him and actually work together like he wants to and defeat ISIS, and possibly growing a whole other great ally, because I really think Russia, they've done some bad stuff, and Vladimir Putin, isn't, he's a right guy, but it's just the whole narrative. I think Trump needs to not listen to all these talking heads around him and just start doing his own thing once again. That's what, based off his campaign, that's what I voted for him because of the stuff that he was talking in campaign. Some of the things really struck the heart, and I'm sort of seeing it back off of it. Some of the deals he's been doing recently, I'm not too fond of. As far as the whole banker issue right now, I didn't bring my material for that, but I'll talk about it next week. So there's a lot of things that he sort of winged off, but for the majority of what he's done, I approve of. So I can't be too mad at him. So
he's trying to be a president.
Right, and again, I think he just now hit 100 days now. I lost track.
100 yet?
Not even 100. I lost track. But anyways, it's just the short amount of time, and we expect so much out of him. I think that's where everybody sort of gets misleaded at, and it's just
he can't do everything.
He can't do anything, everything, but within the first 100 days. So we got 4 years to go, and hopefully we can work a relationship out with Russia, because I really think it'll strengthen both countries and go over the heads of a lot more. So
if the war does start with North Korea, it'll be weird to see who chooses what sides. I mean, Japan's already on our side,
right? And
that's kind of weird because the last World War was.
Right, exactly. So the last war that same with Britain to a great extent. I mean, we were at a war for them for a long time, and they became allies. So,
but this one, Japan would be on our side.
South
Russia
Korea
might. I don't know where Russia would fall at this point. China would probably jump onto North Korea's side, but then if that happens, then we could already just say no more debt from them.
Yeah, that's true.
Like half the debt will be gone.
That's true. I don't even know why we hold on to that debt, but story for another time. But so
there's a lot of stuff that goes into it apparently.
Right. So switching gears, but again, folks, before we get into our next subject, stanshow.com, share, like, and support. Share this link out to all your friends and family. Tell them about us, and we can grow from there. Like I said, 135 likes already. We've been moving up. It seems like about 2 every week now, or every couple weeks. And so I love the growth, but I want to see more of it. I want to see more likes. I want to see more shares. And I do love the support. Again, we started from nothing, and now we're here. So we really do appreciate it. Again, buy the T-shirts, help support us, because all this is through our own funding. But we need the help and support to take it to that next level, and hopefully we can get back on radio or maybe even satellite radio. That'd be really cool. So now we're gonna start talking about the Fresno Shooter that just happened hours ago, pretty much, where again the media doesn't want to talk about if he's an Islamic terrorist or what have you, or he could be an immigrant. That's the other word that they like to use, but not to actually use the actual term Islamic terrorist. Because this guy, although he was American, converted at one point, and now he's killed 3 people and screams Allahu Akbar. So take it for what it's worth. Obviously, I for myself and Lance, and I know George out there, we all know what it is, and I know for a fact that our listeners know what it is. But for everybody else, on the left or not knowing what's really going on, they really want to deny what this guy really is. Which is obviously an Islamic terrorist. So,
right. So his name, was Corey Ali Muhammad, and he was 39 years old, and apparently he wanted to. He was looking to kill white people.
Right. So if it wasn't an Islamic terrorist attack, Lance, then it could be focused in as a maybe hate crime?
Hate crime, racist kind of crime.
Or a race crime.
But they said he was screaming Allah Akbar.
Right.
And he was also screaming, I hate white people. That's what the terms were that they said he was screaming when they came up to him.
I'm sorry, his nickname is Black Jesus, really? With the name of Muhammad? Get out of here, man. This guy's crazy. So obviously, it seems like he's mentally ill. Jumped on this whole, terrorist bandwagon, and then wants to, say, "Oh, I hate white people," because that's really the way to go. Just another tragedy. Fresno, California. I don't think anybody knows where that place is at, really.
They said he did point his gun at 2 women and a kid in a car, but then he kept going, and he was just looking for white males is what he was looking for.
Wow.
Because he did not shoot the people in the car.
Right, exactly. Women and children. Well, at least he has a speck of honor.
Compass.
Yeah, exactly. But, just overall, they're here. The Islamic terrorists are here. Now they're being homegrown, and this is going to be the next battlefront. I truly believe, right here in America. So everybody wants to say, "Oh, a civil war." Well, I think this is going to be it. I mean, look what's happening in Britain. Look what's happening in Sweden. Look what's happening all across European nations, to the point where Sweden's like, "Oh, we made a big mistake taking in all these refugees now, because they took over the whole population, their religion, the culture, I'm not saying all the Muslims that come in there are horrible people, or even here to America, that they're horrible people. I probably said some comments that are probably mean or whatever. I just don't want to be forced to, I have my values, I have my traditions, and I just don't want to be forced to accept, the Muslim religion. It shouldn't be crammed down my throat, along with, a bunch of other things that's happening here in America. But that's the whole reason why we are free. We are, a republic. So it's just.
Let me give out a little bit more information.
It's just very frustrating that these people come over here and want to take over our whole culture.
So this is from FoxNews.com. This is their article about Muhammad. They said it's too soon to say whether Muhammad, he was a homeless man, had any ties to any militant groups or causes, so they haven't said whether or not he is belonging to ISIS or anything like that.
Well, I don't think he is, because has ISIS claimed it yet, or says anything? So I think this probably is a true quote-unquote...
he was a homeless guy.
Lone wolf attack, right.
Muhammad has a criminal history that includes arrests on weapons, drugs, and false imprisonment charges, and making terrorist threats.
Oh, so he
was already on the watch list. He has been associated with gangs, but was not a validated member. And before they took his Facebook page down, he was constantly, repeatedly posting on hashtag Let Black People Go, and encouraged the Black Warriors to mount up. So,
wow, just amazing. I mean, it sort of ties in with the shooter from on Facebook, the other guy, Steve Stevenson, which finally he committed suicide, I believe, in Ohio, or that's where the shooting took place, in Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, where he was rounded up by the police.
Logan.
And then ultimately basically committed suicide. But my whole point to bringing up the whole Facebook shooter, even though I really don't want to get into sort of, I don't believe he deserves all the attention anyways. But anyways, just what was a Black Lives Matter group then? A black on black crime. You have this obviously psychotic killer going around just shot an old man in the face and then laughs about it, and then drives away. Where was the Black Lives Matter then? That's my question. Or how Chicago just had a whole bunch of shootings, the top maybe I think 80, I believe, in a month. Where's the Black Lives Matter, folks? Well, why isn't there such a big outrage more to that?
Like Chicago,
right? Chicago. That's what I'm saying. Where's the big outrage in Chicago? Have we come to a certain point in our humanity where we just given up on Chicago?
Like Chicago is becoming worse than like one of the worst.
It's worse than Iraq.
It's
worse than Iraq.
Like a cartel-owned city.
It's worse than Iraq. It's worse than Afghanistan.
More people die there. Yeah, every weekend.
It's horrible. They're about to topple the
Easter weekend. I think they had 34 people shot.
Yeah, over the weekend, just over the weekend, folks. Where's the humanitarian relief? Where's the Red Cross? Where's Where's the troops at? Where's the National Guard? I mean, they should be going sweeping that thing street by street. You know,
34 shootings in a weekend.
Yeah, but if we went over the statistics later, earlier show.
Yeah.
And it's just you see the graphs, and it's nothing but these big red.
It's like
circles.
Every other block.
Right.
Or every block, there's like a shooting, and then you go down half a block, and then there's another shooting. You go over half a block, and there's another shooting.
Right. Exactly. So like I said, where's the outcry, folks? You know, if everybody cares so much about each other, where's the love?
What's the gun rights in Chicago?
Oh, yeah. They're not allowed to have guns. That's the big thing. You know, it's zero tolerance over there. There's no guns allowed, and yet people are shooting each other with pistols, handguns, rifles, shotguns, what you name it. They have it somehow.
But there's for a law that has been implemented in Chicago, it doesn't work.
Obviously, it doesn't. So, you know, it's just the hypocrisy is just disgusting sometimes. You know, it just goes beyond anything really. You know, it's just these are humans. You know, whether they are gang members or whatever like that. You know, if we actually showed force in Chicago, maybe I'm not saying martial law in Chicago. That's one of the least things I want. But maybe a stronger police force would have to step in. So
let's go ahead and read the last one. So we got a comment from Ian.
So Ian says, that's why I've been saying BLM, Black Lives Matter, is all about dividing whites and blacks. I mean, which is true. That's the whole premise of it. You know, instead of trying to bring people together, it's really well, I mean, it is funded by George Soros, which we all know is trying to topple governments across the world. So you do have somebody, you know, you really have a horrible person supporting this group and having, you know, really get them involved in something that, you know, is really a false narrative. The whole thing was based on Brown, right? The teenage boy or whatever that said that, you know, the hands up, don't shoot. But
Michael Brown.
Michael Brown. But he was the one going after the police officer, and so the whole thing was started on a false narrative.
So let's roll back to this guy.
It's just really frustrating, folks. That yes, that's what they're trying to do, is divide us, not only through money but through what we look like, through what kind of job you got, to what kind of car you own, and so what kind of even NFL team you like, or whatever sports team you like, to, you know, just basics foods, you know, and just the whole divide and conquer plan is really working on us, and it's just it needs to stop. We need to open our eyes, and we really need to start looking inwards, and, you know, putting all the superficial stuff aside, and to really come together as humanity. You know, that's the whole project of America was based on.
So you were talking about the Facebook killer, right?
Right.
And then you went on to tangents into Chicago stuff. But anyways, the Facebook killer, what did he originally do? If people don't know, they haven't heard about it or haven't seen it.
Go ahead and elaborate, Lance.
Okay. So the Facebook killer guy, he was a black man, a BMA, a black male adult. There was some things that happened before he did it. He was very upset. He just broke up with his girlfriend recently. He just got fired from his job. And then he posted on his Facebook that I finally snapped. And then he went ahead and put the live stream up of him going up to the black man.
That wasn't live stream, by the way. It's already pre-recorded, then he posted it.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a big thing, that they want to shut down the live stream on Facebook.
This is what we're doing right now.
Right, exactly. So it's a really great thing that we do come to you live, but, you know, if they do happen to shut us down, that's why you have to go on our website, stanshow.com. But can you continue?
So he then went ahead and got into a little argument with this elderly black man that was walking down the sidewalk. And the video is online if you want to watch it. I'm sure it's not hard to find.
Right. But I don't, you know, I would rather have a memoriam for the elderly man that got shot than have you go on, you know, watch the video. Just plain and simple. The guy's psychotic. He went to got out of his car, asked the gentleman, do you know who Joy Lane is? This is the reason why I'm going to shoot you, pretty much. And the old man, is just trying to collect cans to try to support himself, and he shoots him in his face, and then laughs about it and runs away. So.
And then he went on to post.
I'm glad. I'm glad that he went to go and take his life.
He did the cowardly action, but hey, it's he did kill himself in the end and didn't want to be arrested by police.
Good for him.
So it's taxpayer money, doesn't have to worry about him anymore.
Great point. Great point. So it's just a lot of things, and then like I said, now it goes into censorship of Facebook. People are freaking out like, oh man, we got to shut down Facebook Live. We got to shut down all these live feeds. How come how come Facebook wasn't really looking into this? That whole deal. So it's just another way of censorship in the long end, which leads us into Facebook. Facebook owner Zuckerberg.
So this next part's going to be just a little bit of a conglomeration of just a few articles of just, I guess, the infringing of our rights, or this wouldn't be really too infringing on this, but.
Right, exactly. So Facebook gives the okay, pretty much, for employees to join anti-Trump demonstrations planned for International Work Day on May 1st.
Workers' Day.
Yeah, or International Workers' Day, sorry, on May 1st. And so basically he's giving the green light to say, hey, if you guys don't like Trump, which sounds like
it's pretty much
majority of the company.
I mean, because they all live in Silicon Valley.
Right, so they're all brainwashed and all that good stuff. So anyways, to have a company say it's okay for you to protest, and we all see what these protests are all about now. You have these anti-fascist anarchists dressed in black.
And they all wear masks. They all come prepared to get pepper sprayed. They all come prepared to get in fights. And
right. So we all seen the videos. We all know what they're about. So now he's pretty much saying that it's okay for you and go smash up city property, to go smash up cop cars and go hurt other people. I mean, is it just me that's getting this, or are you getting this too?
Well, he says go protest because it is your right to protest.
Right, exactly. Peacefully. But we all know that this doesn't
happen. It never
happen.
happens.
Right, exactly.
Every protest that has to deal with Trump in some way is turned violent.
Just like this last one in UC Berkeley.
Every time that happens, they just arrest a bunch of people. Right,
exactly. So it's just, well, as we've seen since the last one, the last from UC Berkeley, the first time around, when Milo was going to speak over there,
burning stuff.
Right, when Milo was there, they were burning everything, and everybody sort of backed off, including the Trump supporters. UC Berkeley round 2, pretty much, you start seeing the Trump supporters started coming after
brawls.
Right, exactly.
And there's a whole bunch of people fighting everywhere, and then there's this guy, a journalist. He went over to the police and he said, "Why are you guys just standing here? There's people getting beat up all day, and you're not doing anything." He said, "Okay, and." Like, yeah, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen, and the thing with the police over in LA, there's not enough police officers, unfortunately, because of these riots. Not many officers want to get involved anymore. They
don't want to get hurt.
Right, exactly, because their life is also on the line, and if you don't have people supporting you, well, then why do it? So that's the whole.
That's why they like. So whenever they do that kind of stuff, there's a group. The Bikers for Trump.
Right.
When they usually come, they're usually one of the lines behind the police.
Right.
And they'll back up the police.
And they're not small guys. If you ever look up the Biker for Trumps, like during the inauguration, that meat wall that the wall of meat or whatever, they're not small guys, man. These guys are. I feel sorry for those bikes, but anyways, they're big dudes. But anyways. It's just I forgot the name of the beach where we really started seeing the first rally. It was a pro-Trump rally, and you started seeing them fight back. Now it's just an all-out brawl.
It's going to get to the point where someone will go probably a little crazy at one of these things.
Well, exactly. You know,
either towards the Trump people or towards the anti-Trump people.
You're right. You push somebody too far, you know, it's just going to be, it's going to be a horrible situation. So we'll monitor that, keep you updated. Huntington. There you go. Thanks, George. George watching us from afar. Couldn't be here today. He'll be with us next week, hopefully, God willing. But yeah, Huntington Beach is where the first attack took place, and so that's where we started seeing the pro-Trump people going out and you know, fighting back pretty much.
So let me go ahead and just go into this this next article. This next article is about an Arizona college professor makes an odd deal with students. Now her deal was to go to a Trump protest.
Right.
And if you do protest against Trump at one of those little protest rallies or whatever they're called, then you don't have to take her final.
That's loving. That's amazing. And so how would you determine that you've been there? You have to take like a selfie or be in the news, you know, breaking property or pepper spraying somebody? Is that like one of the qualifications? I mean, come on, man. This is ridiculous that this teacher, this professor, that, you know, you if you're a parent, you should be pissed off because you have a teacher, you know, you're spending thousands and thousands of dollars at this university. Now you have this professor saying, oh, go out and protest to get a A pretty much, you know?
So she had about, they say about 20 students, and they opted, of course, to do the less difficult option of taking an exam.
If I found out my kid was attending her class, man, she would be gone. She would be gone. Not, you know, fired from her job. Because this is ridiculous that my kid is attending this class. I'm spending I'm putting up all the money for this, and to, you know, for you know. What if my son or daughter was a pro-Trump person? Now they have to go attend a Trump anti-Trump rally to try to get a good grade.
Let me go ahead and give you the whole story.
Hell out of here, man.
Her name's Professor Angeles Maldonado.
About to be fired.
She is a professor of global politics of human rights at ASU. The group of about 20 students opted for the less difficult option and chose to organize a protest in front of Hayden Lawn by ASU's library. The demonstration centered on the U.S. President Donald Trump's policies, including deportations in the wall.
Right, exactly. Or his tax returns, which at UC Berkeley, that was the biggest thing, you know. We got to see his tax returns because that's going to reveal everything, right? You know, instead of real issues that they should be protesting about, they were more worried about his stupid tax returns. You know, just.
And so of course they got more people to join the protest. All the SJWs that were on ASU or whatever.
I wish George, if you're listening, I love that term that you use, the super snowflake storm or whatever.
Snowflake storm.
Yeah, I forgot the term.
Superstorm. Yeah, snowflake superstorm or something.
I love that thing. But anyways, it's a good way to segue into this next one about schools. Sacramento Bee came out saying that UC Davis, another great university, student leaders say American flags displays should be optional at these meetings. So just another way to get rid of Old Glory. So Senate Bill 76 passed Thursday. A senator who opposed the change. Bill amends bylaws that required the United States flag to be on display at every Senate meeting at the Associated Students University Davis. Now, instead of it being a mandatory thing, now they're saying it's optional. So, you know, good way to go, University of Davis, for supporting communism.
Well, they're supporting globalism. They want everybody to be the same.
Right, exactly. And so that's a big thing. I've seen a lot of these corporations and America start heading into this inclusion. You know, everybody has to be included. You know, so what does that do, Lance? When everybody's included, you know,
it's a basis of socialism.
Exactly. And so now you can't say anything anymore because you might offend one of the included people. But you know,
you can say stuff all you want. That's why you have free speech.
I'm just saying they're slowly clamping down on that as well.
Slowly, and they're trying to do everything. Yes.
Right, exactly. So it's the inclusion of all this. They really want to get rid of everything and just fly this no flags. Nobody's above anybody else. No one is special. And that good stuff. So, anyways, I do love George's term, snowflake superstorm, which is all these little punks out there thinking that they can.
And what was his next comment?
Change. So, anyways, George is also saying that the left is teaching a whole generation to hate America, and that's absolutely true. You start taking the flag down, you take God out of the Pledge of Allegiance, and you slowly start, taking away it's like Jenga, like the game Jenga. You start slowly taking out the certain bricks, and it's all going to fall down. Right, exactly. So that's what we're seeing, folks. It's a horrible thing, and that's why you really need to take the stand for liberty, like we do every Tuesday. And so, again, share this link, share the website, standshow.com. We really appreciate it. And from the bottom of our hearts, we love your support. But anyways, moving on, we're going to get into this one from Heat Street, which is George's favorite place.
This would be George's segment.
Right, exactly. This one's for you, George. So this one from Heat Street, former FEC chairwoman calls for regulations of political speech on the internet. So
they don't want you talking politics on the internet.
Right, exactly. So Berkeley again in the news. So I'll just break this down real quick. The former Federal Election Commission.
And hold on. This is Berkeley was the place where free speech was
invented.
Invented.
Right. Well, not invented, but it was one of the first ones to have all these peaceful protests and debates and everything else.
And now it's the one that's shutting it down.
Right. Exactly. So Ann Rival says political speech must be controlled on social media. Which now, folks, if you haven't noticed, Facebook is trying to push that whole campaign agenda. How do you spot fake news? And that whole thing. I don't know if you've seen it recently, no? But as soon as you open up your Facebook, folks, it's like a big old campaign ad, pretty much. How to spot fake news. Well, I'll tell you how to spot fake news. Your gut feeling. You start reading an article, or you read multiple articles, and, we've been getting some flack for it. Oh, how do you not know it's fake news? And whatever. Because we use our intuition. We do have a brain. We can, dissect an article and then read on it and then look for another news source and see if they sort of compare with one another. Now, if you have something so far off, like CNN, who doesn't even want to give you all the information, then, you can tell it's fake news. But anyways, going on, calling her speech at UC Berkeley, calling for regulations against fake news. Speaking at an event called The Future of Democracy, this is just too good, the proliferation of fake news and political advertising on platforms like Facebook, so I guess we're considered fake news now, or Russian agents, whatever, warned that the lack of disclosure by the creators of these campaigns is becoming a huge problem. So instead of trying to actually see if it is fake news and doing research and blah blah blah, they're just going to say and become the dictators and basically say, oh, you're fake news. We don't agree with your agenda. We don't agree with our articles or your breakdown analysis, and so we're shutting you down. You're fake news. So, folks, like I said, I've been saying this for a while now. We are, we're a conservative group. I know, and that's who they like to target. They like to try to get rid of us, force us out, push us out because we don't fit within their agenda. Now, if we were saying, oh, all this with love and peace and snowflakes are great, we have no problem. But
and George would like us to stop saying fake news, or for everyone to stop saying fake news, and call it for what it is, propaganda.
That's absolutely right, George.
And
that's absolutely right.
Been a tool of dictators and tyrants. Propaganda has been. Yeah.
Exactly. It's frustrating, to see how far we come in American history to now we're being basically forced out and watching everything that our ancestors built you know, our fathers fought for, you know, our mothers and everything.
History getting erased slowly.
And it's just very sad to see. And, you know, that's why we created the show, to try to, you know, push some of this back, inform the citizens of what's actually happening. And it's just, you know, and for a personal note, it's just very frustrating to see my friends make the ultimate sacrifice for this nation, you know, and to just have it go down the toilet. It's just really, really disheartening, and it really makes me sad. You know, it just, to have all those beautiful lives just lost for a war, that they so love this country, you know, they will go probably, they can get resurrected, they go fight it again. So, not to leave off on a sad note, but, you know, it is really a sad thing to see America dying slowly. And that's why you, the listener and viewer, have to, you know, support us. We'd be your voice if you don't want to be out there talking to the people and really trying to push Americana, freedom, liberty, humanity, you know, just the basic rights of our God-given rights. And we'll be your voice. Just, we need your support. And I can't stress that enough. And so it's just a really sad thing to see. But anyways, Lance, anything else, closing comments before we sign off?
Not really, no. We'll be back here next week.
And with George, hopefully, God willing, like I said.
Get a little bit back of his liberal humor or his liberal fantasies or whatever.
The super snowflake storm.
Yeah, that kind of
I love it. So anyways, again, Shane and Lance with The Stand. Always a pleasure to be with you guys. And join us next week or whenever we pop up for our own breakdown analysis of whatever's happening that needs to be put out the right away. And again, website standshow.com. Support us, like us, share us.
All right.
God bless you and God bless America, folks. Take The Stand.